Rolling on this beautiful day in July on part 2 of our film speeches. And there are no princesses outside the window today. Too bad. And Eve is going to share with us a film that really moved her. Eve stands with 4 feet a little wider apart and lock your legs so you don't sway. Relax your hands. Yes, good. And she's communicating respect non-verbally. She's saying to herself, I respect my audience. Finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name. Feel the love. Start your speech, Eve.
Hi, I'm Eve.
Hi, Eve.
Seeking the dream from past to present is always a motive in films. And for example, in the movie La La Land, Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling struggle together to open the world for themselves. And surviving in a big city is quite hard. I'm here or we are here is for our dreams. And that's why I will always be touched by this kind of movies. Because even I was still a high school student, I know the difficulty to achieve a distant dream. And this movie I'm going to talk about is especially left me a deepest impression. And today I'm going to talk about a movie that really moved me, The Breakfast at Tiffany's. And it made me sad, it made me laugh, and it also cheered me up. And what makes Tiffany a fairy tale is that it's heroine, Holly Golightly, a wild and charming free spirit with latent romantic streaks. And it was said by Larry Tudley in 1962. She is a reporter, worked for Variety newspaper, and I totally agree with this statement because
Excellent.
I think the most vivid part in this movie is Audrey Hepburn and her character. She is fragile like a baby, and she is innocent. I think Audrey Hepburn got her essential part of her character. And the first way this movie moved me is that it made me sad. The scene that made me sad was when the ex-husband of Holly, the doctor, left him and got on the bus. And he said that so skinny and plays Paul, the male character in this movie, to supervise Holly to eat regularly. And the most important reason that it made me sad because compared to the husband role, doctor is more like a father role, and it reminds me of my parents because I think everybody has a time that unsatisfied with their body, especially for girls, and they will have diet and work out until they satisfied. And for parents, they will always think that you are too skinny and you should eat more to keep health. And for juveniles, they will always think that parents do not understand them and there's a gap between them and parents. But the love of their parents is obvious. Everything they did and every word they say will show their love. And for example, the doctor came to see Holly from a distant place, and when he was refused easily by Holly, and he didn't say anything, just so skinny because he was still caring about Holly at the last moment before he left. And now I'm here studying in the foreign country, and I miss my parents very much. And this reminds me of that everything I did with my parents, including laughing and crying, arguing and fighting, is memorable. And the second way this movie made me feel that, move me is that it made me laugh. And it's a comedy. all of the combination make people laugh. It's not strange, but when Paul woke up and climbed over the window to see Holly, he found his lover and a woman who paid him to keep this relationship. And he just run back to his own room so that this relationship between him and Holly will not be revealed. And the most important reason it made me laugh is that I had a similar experience, not for lover, of course, and it was when at our high school, and it's forbidden for us to order takeouts. But for students, of course, they will try everything to break the rules. If it is not allowed to take our takeouts at the gate, we will take it at the side of campus. And one day, me and my friends took my takeouts and was sneaking to our classroom. We saw our principal at the corner, and it was really scary because we will get punishment if we were found by him. And he walked ahead, and we just follow him. And it's like we were stalking him, but it's not actually. We were just afraid of being found. So we took a very large roundabout way and finally reached the classroom safely. And the third way this movie moved me is that it cheered me up. And I had to read a line in this movie. It's Paul said to Holly. Is that he said that you are shaking, you got no guts, and you are afraid to say that life is a fact, and you are terrified that somebody else will going to stick you in a cage, and baby, you are already in a cage, and you build it yourself. It seems that Paul is saying to me because I was that kind of person good at trapping myself in my cage. I used to imagine all day that how successful I will be and the troubles at the present will be my steps towards future. But I forgot one thing, that if I do nothing to my present trouble, how can I build my steps? How can I work into my future? And this made me find that while I was imagining, I was just running away from my difficulties. I was ashamed to face my life straightly. And this movie, this scene woke me up. In conclusion, Breakfast at Tiffany's is a really good classical movie, and not because the Audrey Hepburn's beauty. Well, he is beautiful, but also for the powerful principles contained in this movie and these inspired people. And while I was watching the movie, a lot of things came into my mind: my school time, my family, and myself. And this made me feel that this movie is like a mirror, and we can see our own reflections from it. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we're somewhere back here. Thank you for waiting respectfully at the door.
Hi, I'm Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
I like the stories you use to connect your emotions.
Like your story. Yes, sir.
That was a good presentation. I just felt like you could just a little bit more louder, maybe you could turn back, but it was actually guys maybe a little much there.
Yeah. We had a little trouble with projection, and be clear, and some pronunciation issues. So work on that, work on projection, and stressing certain keywords. Well, it was a good speech. So it was interesting because I thought you were going to do La La Land as your movie, and that was only your introduction. You were actually going to do an older movie, a movie which I loved a great deal, Breakfast at Tiffany, with George Papard and Audrey Hepburn. You had an interesting introduction that was sort of, set the stage for what you were going to talk about. So that was good. You said you were going to share 3 emotions: sad, laugh, and cheered me up, right? So I would have liked to have had those emotions more highlighted with your voice in the narrative. Do you know what I mean by that? So that you make them come out and we say, so let's talk first about why it made me feel sad, and yell it out almost, see? So I thought your plot summary was too long. I'd like to see you move a little bit more than you moved, okay? 3 times. You said that the reason this made you feel sad, it was kind of a longish explanation, but the best I got out of it was something to do with your parents and fights, but in the end you loved them, right? And so this was, in the end, you in the foreign country, you miss them now and you feel sad that you're not with them. And I needed to have you return to the emotion that I felt sad at the end of your paragraph. Okay? On laugh, plot summary too long. What was the time on this?
7:45.
7:45. So you went 2 minutes and 45 seconds over. So you need to time the next speech to make sure that it's 5 minutes. Okay? And that will mean getting rid of plot summaries and getting down to word economy. So let me try to have some word economy too. On your sad, let me just go to your story. You talked about your parents saying you're too skinny or some argument about like that, right? And you needed to return to the emotion. You said, this made me sad. On laugh, what is a takeout? Is that a cut school? Is that leave school? Is that a date? Is that takeout here means take out food from a restaurant? What's takeout?
Food we order from school.
A lot of places.
It's the food we order from.
We order pizza from
Yeah.
off campus, and then it comes and you pick it up through the gate and you eat it. Okay, so it's the same thing. Yeah. And so it was an interesting story you told about running from the principal, and so that was sort of funny, I guess, and that's why it made you laugh, right? Yeah. Okay. The cage one, I must confess, really eluded me. You said it cheered me up, and I didn't know why. You are not in a cage, and how you're in a cage or not in a cage, or you're out of the cage. You said you're always running from your difficulties, and the movie woke you up, right, and got you to not act in a certain way, so I suppose that's good. You have to have every part of the prompt when you do it. So you skipped your summary, so you can say, in summary, I told you 3 ways the film moved me. It made me sad, it made me laugh, and it cheered me up. In conclusion, there should be no doubt in this room that the breakfast at Tiffany's really moved me and then tied back. Your canaries, don't be nervous. improve my writing skills. Well, I like to say speaking and projecting skills, and have more smiles when I speak. How'd it go?
Still improving.
What?
Still improving.
Still improving. Okay, well, I agree with you. You're still improving. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Okay, another B. Okay, they're just volunteering. I love it. Keep them coming. Nice blue shirt. I love your blue shirt. Yeah. Really contrasts well with that white background there, boy. Nice. Okay, you're a little taller than Eve. Okay. Okay, one step that way. Just half step. Just half step, yeah. And we are rolling. Angelo stands before you in the power sets, communicating respect and authority. Fighting for the eyes in the front and center, standing here to the left.
Hi everyone, I'm Angelo.
Hi, Angelo.
Pixar Studios seems to have a knack for personifying things that aren't human. This goes for things like toys in the Toy Story series, cars in the Cars series, and things like fish in Finding Nemo. But one day, over at the Pixar Studios, someone must have thought, what if we personified emotions themselves? This is the premise behind Inside Out, a film which made me feel disappointment, sadness, and ultimately it made me feel introspective about my own emotions. And I'm just going to say this as like a little aside. In a speech where we're supposed to talk about how we emotionally connect with the film, I feel like talking about a film about emotions is kind of cheating. But anyways, the story of Inside Out follows a young girl. She's only 11 years old, and it follows her internal struggle as she moves from Minnesota to San Francisco. We view this internal struggle through the eyes of her 5 basic emotions: joy, anger, sadness, fear, and disgust. Starting off with the first story, this movie made me feel disappointment. Not because the movie was disappointing, but because I empathized with it. What happened was pretty early on in the movie, like I said, Riley moves to San Francisco away from home in Minnesota. And while they're on the way there, she's built up all these grand expectations of what it's going to be like. You know, like my house is going to be huge, the city's going to be fun, everyone's going to love me at my school, things like that, basically. But when she finally arrives at her new house, it's foggy, the roads are all cracked and broken, the house is small, it's grungy, and like there's dead rats on the floor. It's just not nice. And her expectations didn't match up with reality, and there was that sense of disappointment coming through from that. And the reason I felt the same way was because I've had a similar experience in the past. For one thing, I'm also from San Francisco, so I can totally relate to her experience. And also, back when I was younger, I visited Alcatraz, which is near San Francisco. It's a former maximum security prison, which now sits on an island in the middle of the bay near San Francisco. It's a big tourist attraction, and while we were going there, I had the same feelings. Like, you know, this is going to be great, it's going to be fun. You know, lots of people go here for a reason, right? It's going to be fun. But while I'm in there, it suddenly dawns on me that I'm literally touring jail. And part of me is thinking, like, you know, what on earth am I doing here? I'm bored out of my mind. I see tourists standing in jail cells taking pictures of themselves. Like, what are you doing? And yeah, my expectations, they did not meet reality at all. So I shared that same sense of disappointment that Riley did in the film. Moving on to the second emotion I felt, which was sadness, happens in the film when Riley has her first day of school. Before she goes, Joey is rounding up all the emotions and telling them what they're supposed to do for the day. Okay, anger, you make a list of daydreams we can go to in case Riley gets bored. Fear, you make a list of everything that could possibly go wrong. Sadness, you do whatever. And disgust, you make sure Riley has a nice outfit. So sadness doesn't really get a job. All Joy does is she draws a circle on the ground, tells sadness, you stand here, don't move, and don't touch anything for the entire day. I'll handle it. They shun sadness. They don't really seem to know what her purpose is. And the reason this made me feel sad was because I could relate to it also. When I was younger, I didn't really show much negative emotion. We're conditioned to only show positive emotions on the outside, only happiness, maybe sometimes anger, but never sadness, never fear. I mean, just look at anyone's Instagram, Snapchat, or Facebook feed. It's always filtered to show the best, most positive moments of their life. We're conditioned to live our lives always happy, even though we might not be on the inside. And this really leads me to the third feeling of the film, which is it made me feel introspective about my own emotions. This happens towards the end of the movie, when Riley nearly runs away because she can't handle the stress. She nearly runs away, but eventually she comes back home, sees her parents, and at this point, Joy does something a little bit unexpected. She gives up control of Riley's head and finally lets sadness take control of Riley's mind. And when this happens, Riley begins to cry in front of her parents. But the thing is, they're not mad at her. They empathize with her, and they only show her nothing but love. And in this moment, it was that all the other emotions realized that sadness does have a purpose, and there was a use for her. And the reason I related to this was because, like I said earlier, I tended to bottle up any negative emotions I had. But as I grew older, and as I learned more about myself in college, I became a little bit more honest to myself. Me and my close friends, we'd share like deep talks and stuff about what's going on in our personal lives, things that we wouldn't normally talk about in public. And in doing that, I became closer and more deeply connected to them than I ever could have been had I just maintained my happy facade. So that being said, Inside Out is a film which made me feel disappointment, sadness, and ultimately, introspection. I think the whole concept behind the film, personifying emotions, does a really great job of conveying that sort of internal struggle that we always go through. And the fact that it's about emotions themselves makes it really relatable. We all have our own joy, we all have our own sadness, we all have our own fear, and so on. And I really think that's the most beautiful part of the film. Thank you.
Thank you. Over time?
5:32.
5:32. Good. In the back here.
Kelly? Hi. I really liked your speech. Your tone was really good, and it was very engaging, and I could feel your emotions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Lauren.
Hi, Lauren.
I really liked your speech, but I thought maybe like more eye contact.
Say it again.
Okay. More eye contact. Yeah. Yeah. For everyone, and when you're over on this side, working that side, but still glancing at that side. Yeah. Angelo, you chose a great movie to do, and you're right, in some ways it's cheating, but I appreciate that because it was one that truly does deal with emotion. Well, everything was fine.
I also
What?
forgot the quote.
Right. And you did not have a quote or a review or a Chicago citation here on your speech, so shame on you. Let's talk about your emotions, though. Your emotions, which was the most important part of the speech. First emotion you shared with us was disappointment. You visited the island of Alcatraz and saw these, what you felt were pathetic tourists going into jail cells, photographing themselves with Al Capone and all this silly stuff, and you thought, this is pathetic, why am I here? And what I needed you to do was repeat and say, this is why I felt so disappointed, and repeat that emotion that you're re-feeling and communicating at the time. On sadness, the same thing, you are right, you don't see too many melancholy people on Facebook, Snapchat, or Instagram. Wasn't very personal to you, but you talked about when you were younger, you were not showing a lot of negative emotions, so that was okay. On being introspective, my only thought was what would have really brought this home is you said that you were opening up to a friend, more to friends, and sharing things that were you'd have kept hidden. An example would have really clinched this. Even though you were over, you could have cut down on the plot summary and put that in. Summary, conclusion, and tieback were all good. You said, I want to speak slowly, make more eye contact, the wider range of the audience, and prepare beforehand so I do not stumble on my word. How did it go, Angelo?
I still did stumble on my words a little bit, and definitely still do need to make more eye contact with the audience.
Yeah.
But I think I did speak slower this time.
Working 3 to 5 seconds is what we're after, but overall, very nice job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was wondering, do you know typically when people do films that 5 minutes is just the right amount? Typically in your past classes, is that like pretty hard to meet the 5-minute requirement? Because it seems like sometimes we may need about 6 minutes.
Do we have one more volunteer to go today? I know we're kind of short on time, but they want to do their speech today, another B? Okay, come on up. Yeah, while I'm answering this question, did you all hear the question? Repeat the question.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, now that it seems that it's hard for everyone to meet the time limit. Like, it's 6 minutes. Do people usually reach that on time in your past classes?
Yeah, they do. Because I'm a real hard ass about taking 5 points off of your score going overtime.
Oh, okay.
And so people don't like, especially in the regular term, they don't like these students. These UCLA students during the regular term, they rip throats out to get grades, and they don't want to go overtime. So they time it themselves. They ask the timer to give them 4, 3, 2, 1, half, and they speed up. They know where they are in their speech, so they make it. And you can ask them to do that if you want. Okay, let us rock and roll.
I'm sorry.
No problemo, as they say south of the border. Nice contrast to the white background. Thank you for not wearing white. Okay, and we're rolling.
Hi, my name is Lauren.
Hi. Step forward, Lauren. Thank you.
When we're younger, we all like to think that in our brain, it's all made up of tiny little people who control all of our actions and everything we do. Well, sometimes these little people make us feel sad or make us really scared when we have to talk in front of a really scary class. Or they just make us get really nervous or feel left out. We wonder, why do we have to feel these emotions? Why do we have to be sad? Why do we have to be angry? Why can't we just be happy all the time? Well, today with you, I'm going to share the film Inside Out. And I believe Inside Out answers all of these questions. And it really explains why we have to feel these emotions. Well, this film moved me in 3 ways. It made me feel sad, it made me feel nostalgic, and it made me feel optimistic, and as though I could move past my sadness. As Duvergé said from Variety, this film goes beyond the screen to become an iconic and visual metaphor that allows the audience to understand their own emotions and empathize with others. I agree with this statement. I believe that it did very much help me understand my own emotions and understand other people's emotions as well and realize why we have to feel certain things.
Good.
The first thing is, this movie made me feel sad. The scene that made me feel sad in this movie was when Riley had to move to a new school and she didn't have any friends and didn't know anyone. She was very, very sad and felt very alone. This reminded me of when I was in 2nd grade and I had to move to a brand new school and I had no friends there or anything. I felt like I was never going to fit in and it was really, really awful for me. But I soon realized that I'm not the only one who has to change schools. Other people go through the same hard experiences I go through, just like Riley did. So if she had to go through this and she felt sad, it reminded me of the time I felt sad as well. The next way this movie moved me was that it made me feel nostalgic. The scene that made me feel nostalgic was when Bing Bong, the imaginary friend, came into the film. Also, when she was visualizing herself playing hockey for the first time, because she loves hockey when she was very young. This made me feel nostalgic because it reminded me of when I was younger and I used to play with my Polly Pockets and make a whole imaginary dream of it and give them all names and give them all personalities and everything. And also, it reminded me of the first time I ever started dancing and took a dance class. Dance is my passion, just like Riley's hockey is for Riley. And just to see that similarity and to remember being young and so happy dancing made me feel so nostalgic. It made me very happy. This and both of the things tied together, because still today, when I dance on the stage, I have to play a character, just like when I was younger and I played with Polly Pockets, or Riley played with Bing Bong. The last way this movie made me feel was that it made me feel optimistic and as though I could finally admit my sadness and then be able to move past it. The reason this movie made me feel that way was when Riley finally accepted her sadness and let herself cry in front of her parents and say, I don't like this, I'm not happy here, I want to move back to Minnesota. The second she was able to finally cry and show that she was sad, she finally felt the love from her parents again and she was finally happy. So this taught me that sometimes you have to feel sad to reach the happiness. This reminds me of the time when my parents got a divorce, and for a very long time I couldn't accept it. I wouldn't let myself be sad. I would just pretend that there's no bad feelings in the house. I didn't want anything to happen. I wanted it all to stay the same way. But the second I let myself feel sad and realize that this isn't happy and I'm not happy, I was finally able to get rid of all the tension I was holding up inside of me and move past it. And I was finally able to be happy again and realize that sometimes things don't work out the way you want them to be, but they're better even if it's hard at first. So once my parents finally got a divorce and moved away, it was way easier because I was able to feel the love from both of them even stronger, and I was able to move past that, and there was nothing blocking me or in the way. And just like when Riley was finally able to admit she was sad to her parents, they both showed the love even more, and she was finally able to see that that was the issue and confront it. Today, this movie made me feel sad, it made me feel nostalgic, and it made me feel optimistic. Sometimes we think of these little things in our brain and we really don't want to be sad or we really don't want to feel left out of things, but we just have to be. Sometimes that's the best way to reach your happiness and to reach the light at the end of the tunnel. I hope this inspired you to watch the movie, and I hope you can see that this movie really moves me. Thank you.
Thank you. Time?
4:53.
4:53. Very nice. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Pamela.
Hi, Pamela.
I like that your speech was very organized and made it really easy to kind of follow.
Thank you. Improvement?
Hi, I'm Linda.
Hi, Linda.
Fully comfortable eye contact with the audience. Yeah. Say something never.
Lauren, real quick, thank you for volunteering to go last and to do this. The little people, and you tied back to the little people, so you came the full circle, so that was fine. I'm not sure I got so much out of the little people thing, but it's fine. It was workable, it was cute, so that worked. Inside Out, 2 in a row, kind of a tough act to follow, but you did it. So that was okay. You changed your emotions, and I appreciate you editing kind of at the last minute and making that happen. I liked your variety quote, and you agreed with it. I would have liked a Chicago quote on the first page, as it's supposed to be.
I'm sorry.
All right. Yeah. Well, that's not the right way. And then let's just go to your emotions. Sad. Yeah. You moved to a new school. I felt your sadness. I felt your not wanting to be alone, and you communicated that well. Your second, nostalgic. I love the Polly Pocket thing and the dance, and I thought that was excellent. Really well done. Your best one you saved for last, which was sort of, you called it, I don't know what you called it, but
I decided on optimistic, but I couldn't like think of a word to describe.
optimistic, but cry, but and optimistic because that's how you finally worked it out. But it was your best story of your parents' divorce, and you're in denial, and then you accepted it, and so it was a good story. You did your summary, you skipped over your conclusion, and then you came back to it at the end after your tie back, which was fine. Your canais were to tie back the introduction, which you did, answer the prompt more precisely, and explain what I learned in the body section. Talk slower and clearer. How did it go?
Well, I was really nervous. I don't really know.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. One thing I want to say about your walking.
I forgot to walk.
Yeah, and you didn't walk right. So 3, 5, 3. Come back, end in the center. You ended up over there, which was kind of strange. But overall, you're a very likable speaker. And so that's something I can't teach. So Keith, don't lose that, and you did a good job. Thank you. Okay, one last announcement. We're way over time, but I do want to say I want you to. I will show you. We'll finish the B's and the C's at our next meeting. So everyone needs to be ready. And we'll get them done. And I will also show you a Model PC speech, but be thinking about something you're personally committed to. If you have time, you can go to the YouTube website, type in Thomas Miller, PC speeches. You'll find about 20 or so of them, and you'll get a flavor for them. What I'm after is you share with the group something you normally wouldn't share, that you're authentic. In this speech, we're trying to learn to share emotion, one of the sticky things, one of the sticky qualities that makes the speech more sticky. In the next speech, we're going to learn to be authentic. And so, one of the ways to be authentic is to share something you normally wouldn't share with a group. Okay? And you're personally committed to. So when I say personal commitment, I mean personal commitment. Okay? Any questions? Okay, our work piece, please. Hi, Lynn. Help me out. I can't hear
What is the
it.
Chicago quote?
How do you footnote using Chicago? Were you at Mickey's lecture?
No.
Oh, well, you on our website, there's something called the Owl at Purdue, and they explain the Chicago method of making a bibliography. It's different from MLA, and it's different from APA. It looks like Stephanie's. Okay. It has a little line, and it has the name, and it has the full citation. There's a little line at the bottom of the page, page 1. Okay? Any other questions? Okay, return with honor.
For the introduction speech, do you want to do that?
Yeah, finish filling out those introduction speeches. I'll collect them next time.
Hi. I just forgot my self-evaluation form. Can I bring it next class?
Yeah, fine. Yeah. Yeah.
I need a self-evaluation and an exam because I was in here last.
Oh.
And I have a jury due. I couldn't get out of it. Starting the 24th. What to do?
Do your duty.
This one says no to my excuse.
Oh, it was your excuse, you're a student?
Yeah, and that it would be a financial hardship as far as repaying for a class or something. And they were like,
But
no.
you can just check in by telephone and still be here and all like that.
Right,
Here
they
is
should call me,
the gig,
then
yeah.
what to do, let you know if I have to stay.
If you have to stay, I'm going to just work it out with you to do independently through your speeches and I can work it out. You don't have to drop a class.
Oh, no, I was hoping to work it out. I needed the
self-evaluation.
yeah, the self-evaluation.
That's in the syllabus. Did you not
that's
get
in
the
the syllabus? Okay, no.
And
I
on the
have it.
website, there's another new blank one for the rest of the
Okay,
speeches.
thank you.
You're welcome. Stop, Faith.
I will.
Well, bye.
Can I borrow the sample of the sticky?
Yeah, you want to take it home?
Yeah.
Take it home, go on.
Anderson School.
You want to look at it closely, huh?
Anderson School hosts.
It's not stable.
I take classes there and the professors sometimes, come.
This is
Yeah.
paper.
I have a class here in this little invoice. I have one. I'm going to classroom was over there. But, yeah, I've had 2 classes outside of the business school. But, yeah.
Okay, you return it.
Why you have to finish the
Hi, Professor. I'm wondering if it would be possible to request more than 5 minutes for the personal commitments.
45 minutes?
More than 5 minutes for the personal commitments.
You can request it. Well, why do you need more?
Because I feel like it's a very mixed for me. I feel like it deserves extra time.
How much time?
I can't give you a concrete number yet because I haven't done it.
Well, 6 or 7 maybe, but yeah, I can't give you 10.
Oh, okay, 7.
Maybe, but I don't tell anybody, and I don't want to make a request of them because we're already running behind and we have to keep this at 5 minutes, and I'm going to start shortening my critiques so we get through this.
Okay. So once I get it written and like practice it, like I'll get back to you then. And let you know how it goes.
Yeah.
So
You
how
should
would
be able to
that
get
work?
through.
How would that work then? Like when I'm up there, like would I just say like, oh, we're gonna get an extra 2 minutes, or how would that work?
Just do your speech.
Just do it. Okay.
And, old Jason here will say 7 minutes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Very welcome. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah. Hi, darling. Did you talk to anyone?
Yeah, I talked to Carol Richardson.
Oh, but not to Dennis?
I called Dennis earlier.
I know, but he didn't call back.
I'm assuming he's working on something or busy.
Yeah. How's that? Impressive.